this email from Andrew.
Hey, Andrew.
We got the RAD kids back at Fire Up Esports Lounge in Roseville this Friday night, 7 o'clock. Andrew says this last Friday night with the RAD kids was a blast. I had a brief conversation with Kyle and Brandon, got to BS with Queenie on the front patio. Then I participated in karaoke for the first time in my life.
Oh, wow, fun.
With a Slipknot song of all
Whoa,
things.
I
I didn't know that was his first time.
Jeez,
Oh,
man. I thought
man.
this was family friendly.
But it felt good to let loose like that. Last note, thank you for your advice, Brandon. It was simple advice, as you said, but I still hugely appreciate it. It became another reminder that all of you guys are human, just like the rest of us maggots, and that's all I hope to ever see from you.
Oh, thank you, Andrew.
More advice dispensed this Friday at Fire Up. Shelby Elias from United Wholesale Lending and FinanceWithShelby.com is back with us. Hi, Shelby.
Good morning.
You were so popular last time, we had to bring you back, and because it has not stopped, as you said it wouldn't, months ago, I thought we would start with the thing we're getting the most emails about, and if I understand correctly, you're getting the most calls about, which is the cash out process, a refi cash out, with people taking money out of their homes. Let's start first. How does that work? What's the quick version of how a refi cash out works?
Quick version is the borrower applies and we replace their current mortgage with a new mortgage. You're allowed to take out 80% of your home's value in cash back. And you can use that cash however you want. You can use it for home repairs. You can use it for new solar on your house. You can use it literally however you want.
You don't have to do anything with it. You can put it in savings.
Exactly.
Now, and equity is up about how much?
Well,
on average?
in the last year, it's gone up 17%, and this year it's poised to go up another 17, 18% again.
This year, 2021.
Correct.
So that goes back to what we were talking about last time about one thing people are really nervous about is timing the market. You hear about this in the stock market a lot. But where's the top? Where is there going to, and of course, everybody's still burned from 2008.
Yep.
Is there going to be a crash? And you were bullish when you were here a few months ago.
Yeah.
You believe through 2021 we're solid.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a couple different variables there. One, there's not a lot of people that are going into the construction trade. So there's not, we don't have the labor force that's coming in. We're not building enough homes, so we don't have enough inventory. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, there's simply not enough inventory out there for the amount of buyers that are coming into the market. So last time that the market crashed, not enough homes were being built. Too many home buyers are coming into the market. Now you have factors like COVID, where all of these mills and lumber and metal and everything, it's harder to get. It's taking longer. So I don't think that we're anywhere close to a crash. And the loans that people are getting, they qualify. There's no risky loans out there, period. There's none.
Phone number is 888-989-9811. You got questions for Shelby, you can email us. We got a bunch here, rad@radradio.com. So when we do a refi through you, and so we touched on it last time when you were here. We had started my process, and Christine and I are different because I'm a business owner, and there's a VA loan, and there's all those other things. But I've talked many times about how amazing, because you put me basically through the system. You wanted me to feel like exactly like a customer would. And every email we get mirrors my experience. You and I talked one day. That afternoon, I'm getting a text or an email or a call from somebody, and then he passes me off to somebody, and then I finally wind up with Justin, and it's all happening. But for most people, it's 17 to 20 days. How long can you? What's the average?
On a purchase? 17 days. So we want to be extremely competitive on purchases because the market's so crazy. So I want to make sure that all the purchase loans go to the front of the line, and we can really write really competitive offers. So you're looking at between 15 and 21 days on a purchase. For a refi, anywhere from 17 to 21 days.
Because we got an email from somebody you helped that you did it in 12.
Yeah, it depends. A lot of the loans these days, we're getting appraisal waivers. So as long as you're not taking cash out, it's likely that you're going to get an appraisal waiver.
And we should point out that because we get this in emails, the reason you're able to get everybody as quickly and as great a rate as you do is because you're not a bank, and people don't necessarily understand what the difference is.
Correct. And if I couldn't compete with the big banks, I would be out of a job.
Right? So what is it that gives you the advantage though?
So for one, we overstaff by design, and that's huge. So a lot of these banks, they can't hire fast enough. We're always overstaffing by design to make sure that we can take in the amount of clients that we get. So that really helps us.
So let me get to a couple of these emails that I got here. This one's from Megan.
Hey, Megan.
Says, my husband and I own our current home, but our goal is to buy land and build a custom or semi-custom home within the next 5 years or so. So this goes to the question of where the market is. Does it make sense to buy the land and hold it until we can afford to build, or is it better to wait and do it all at once? I know the real estate market is crazy, but not sure if land correlates or not. Any advice?
Well, on a land purchase, it's a lot different than a traditional home sale. So you really need to research what bank is going to allow you to finance that land if you're going to finance it, because that's a tough piece of the puzzle. But in terms of the market, I mean, land doesn't necessarily appreciate as much as, homes. So I don't think it's that big of a question. What I would really be concerned with is lumber prices and things of that nature. So I don't know necessarily if you can go wrong by waiting to purchase the land. I would say look for location first.
Right.
If the right property comes up, buy location. Location is everything.
That's exactly what I was going to chime in with, is if there's a specific place they want to be and there's land available there, scoop it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've had friends run into where they just want to have land in another state because someday they'll move there, but they've run into whatever piece of property they have found. It's like, and I don't know the setup because I don't know the ins and outs of this stuff, but it's like they wouldn't be able to wait 5 years to build something. Like you have to build within a certain amount of time, and that's probably more of those ranchettes that they found. I'm sure if you're buying 20 acres out in the middle of nowhere, who's going to care?
Yeah.
Hello, Stacy. Go ahead.
Good morning. My mom owns three properties. They're under a triple net lease and leased out to a residential care facility. She has tried to refinance. Two of them are on one mortgage, and another one was sold to a different mortgage. That one she could not refinance because they claimed it was a commercial property, which I mean it's a residence. So is there a loophole? Is there a way around that?
Yeah, I think that the key is the care facility. That's what's hindering the ability to be able to refinance. So even though it's a regular home, just a single family residence, the lender's looking at it like it's a commercial property because they're running a business out of it. This is the same for people that run any business out of their home. If they have a billboard out front for a like a child care facility or something, the bank won't lend on it. So the only way that she's going to be able to refinance is if there is no care facility there. Then she could refinance and then, work everything out.
So you have to literally shut down the business temporarily?
Pretty much. I mean,
Wow.
it can't even really be temporarily because then, you're defrauding the bank. But
Here's a cool email. It just came in from Jordan. Says, Shelby is awesome. I met him up in Tahoe while on vacation after I had one too many painkillers, the drink, not the pill. Shelby bought me a drink and we talked for a little bit about his advice. Do you remember that guy?
I do. I definitely do.
So back to the cash out process, and we're talking about how homes have gone up in value. So in our case, our home is now worth 33% more than what we paid for it, and we were able to take a big chunk out of our home, and we're going to use some of it for home improvement stuff, because you were talking about what you can do with this money. And I've been talking on my Probcast recently. We've started a finance thing that you're going to join me on here eventually, and one of the things I talk about is credit card debt and how you have to get out from under that. And would you advise that a cash out refi is a great way to clear the deck when it comes to credit balances?
Yes, absolutely. Average credit card debt is between 17 to 25%. So that's the interest rate on credit card debt. Right now on a cash out refinance, you can get between a 2.99 and a 3.125. So it's a great way to erase that. I looked this up last night, and it says if you have $20,000 in credit card debt at a 20% rate, it will take you 26 years to pay that off if you're making the minimum payment. And you'll end up paying $44,000 for $20,000 of debt. So it's very, very important that you get rid of that as fast as possible.
So we also got this email that kind of combines the two. This one's from Cheryl.
Hey, Cheryl.
Now, she lives in Nebraska. She's a longtime regular listener, but she's so that may affect your answer based on her consideration when it comes to home improvements. My husband and I are doing a refi. We're going to be paying off our credit cards. Good. And we'll have about $9,000 left over. We've been talking about using that $9K to finish our basement or put that $9K in our savings for the slush fund. Right now we have 2 months in our slush fund, and the $9K would boost us to 6 months. With the credit cards paid off, it won't take long to save up for our slush fund or finish the abatement. We just can't decide what to do. So I talk about the slush fund all the time, that you've got to have reserves for something bad that might happen.
Yeah.
But she's also talking about, what about refurnishing or finishing up the basement? Which one do you like?
Finishing the basement. I have done this several times. I look for investment properties that have basements. If you can finish a basement, so your home value is calculated based on price per square foot. A basement is not permittable square footage unless you finish it. So say you have a 1,200 square foot house, and you have an exact replica on the bottom of 1,200 square feet. You permit that basement, and now your house is worth double because you have double the amount of square footage. So anyone that has a basement, or anyone's looking at buying a property that has the ability to finish a basement, finish the basement. You're literally going to double up.
What are your other favorite home improvements that somebody could put their refi cash into that would not only, because I also talk a lot about, look, part of this is living, and you want to enjoy your life and enjoy your space.
Yeah.
But what would do both? That would be, it would both improve your life in your home, but also it's adding value.
Yes. So if you take cash out for a home repair, the number one home repair would be a kitchen remodel. A kitchen remodel, the return on investment will yield you 60 to 80% return on investment by a kitchen remodel. Plus, you get to enjoy it. So it's a win-win.
Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, I talk about this a lot, and I'm doing one of my financial podcasts this Friday, and I touch on this would be more for the enjoyment solely is the pool.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't add nearly as much as people think it does. But it
Like a
does
boat.
improve your life.
Yeah, it does.
And that's okay, too.
It definitely is.
A couple of questions here. RAD at radradio.com. This is from Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy.
Says, if you pull equity out of your home, your mortgage goes up, right?
Mm-hmm. You're right. But that's why you have to spend it wisely. If you pull money out, your mortgage goes up for the next 30 years and you go on vacation with the money, bad idea. But if you pay off that debt, or you actually invest the money in a kitchen remodel and you make 60 to 80% return on your investment, it's all good. And what people think too is that you have to start back over at 30 years, and you don't. You can do a 28 year, 27, 26. You can pick whatever term that you want. But since it's amortized over that long period, your mortgage doesn't go up very much. It's only a couple $100.
But going back to what you were saying with like people being afraid of the crash,
Yeah.
that now, if I heard you right, what's different is people are qualifying for these. Like there's
Correct.
nothing funny's being done.
Yeah.
So I would say as long as you know you can afford it and it goes up, you're okay if there's a crash, right? You just continue paying that mortgage.
Yeah, you're comfortable with your payment. And
Yeah.
and we're not allowing people to take out 100%. That's what was the issue before. You could take out 100% of the equity of your house.
Yeah, wow.
So you're just banking on appreciation. But now you can only take up to 80%.
Two things in there. In the case of what Dawn's talking about there, in the case of a crash, if you can afford the payment, you're going to ride it out, and the value is going to come back eventually. But you don't. Neither one of us are genies. But you don't see indications that a crash is coming, do you?
No, there is no indication right now that a crash is
A
coming.
plateauing eventually, right?
And anything can happen.
Sure.
I mean, the market could blow up, or something completely different can happen. But there's no indicators in the direct real estate market that would indicate that.
Hello, Vegas. Nope, Jesse. We're going to Jesse. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Hey.
Hey, so I have about $50,000 in student debt. I know the payment on that's about $500 a month, and there's different rates for like 6 to 11% depending on the loan for the year. I was wondering if it's a good idea to take out the money and what that like $50,000 increased debt against my house would cost per month.
Well, first, let's start with we were talking about credit cards. What about a cash out refi and the money goes towards student loan debts?
Yeah, well, I mean, it really depends on if you're going to be able to pay those student loans off or not. If you take $50,000 out of your mortgage, I would assume that your home payment might go up about $200, but you have to also consider that you may be saving money, because if your interest rate is higher than the interest rate that I can give you on a cash out refi, then you're actually going to be saving money on your interest rate, but it's going to be going up from the cash out. So maybe, and in some cases, people's payment don't even go up at all.
Mine didn't. Mine went down by almost $1,000.
There you go. You got the cash and your payment went down.
Nice.
Got this note from Maya.
Hi, Maya.
Says, my husband and I own a home in Southern California, but currently rent here in the Granite Bay area. Do we need to live in the house to refinance it?
No. You can refinance, and you could do cash out on an investment property as well.
And they want to know, can you do the refi for a house in Southern California?
Yes, I can.
Yay.
So what about other ways we could spend a cash out refi? Like, what about another house in the future? Because maybe you have a house now that you're thinking, this isn't our forever house.
Yeah.
But hey, it's a great property. We could rent it, depending on where it is. You can Airbnb it, whatever. They're going to keep it. What is it a good time to take that cash out and start looking towards that next home?
Yeah, and this is the difference of working with a mortgage advisor and the guy that's just taking an order over the phone and plugging you in with a new mortgage. So I go over this with all my clients, and I go over their future goals. So if you're living in a house right now and you're only going to be living here the next 3 to 5 years, but you plan on purchasing another house, then what we do is we analyze what your monthly payment is on that house there, and we talk about turning that one into a rental. So if your current mortgage payment is maybe $1,500 to $1,800, but you can rent that house out for $2,500, then we talk about taking the cash out now while interest rates are really low, securing a low monthly payment now, holding on to the cash to be able to purchase the future property. And then you can see, okay, well, now once we take the cash out, your payment's going to be $2,000. You can rent it out for $2,700 or whatever it is. So now you're going to positive cash flow $700, and now you have the cash to be able to purchase the next property.
Nice.
And then now you have a depreciation write-off, and you just want to pre-think your future. So when you're refinancing now, I can't tell you how many people call in. They're like, I just refied last year, but I didn't think about this. So you want to make sure that you're going over those future goals with your mortgage advisor so you can pre-think it before you pull the trigger.
So to that, we actually got a few people wrote in, like Michelle, who, because you were talking about how the equity's gone up, what was it, 17% last year? It's going to go up 18% this year.
Yeah.
So there's people who are thinking, well, wait a minute, we could do this again. And so my hubby and I refinanced last year. It hasn't been a full year yet. Do we have to wait a full year before refinancing?
No, you can refinance again right away.
What about, we talked about this last time you were on the air, what's the issue with refinancing when you're in forbearance because of COVID and all that?
Yeah, when you're in forbearance, you need to make 3 payments back. The way that you want to think of that is that you're going to have a new lender, and that new lender doesn't want to take you on if you're not paying your mortgage.
Right.
So he's got to show that you've been back for 3 months.
Hello, Leah.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey Shelby, quick question. We are remodeling our house. Like a big remodel, kitchen, added square footage. So we have permits out, and we're at the end of our remodel, and we were out of money. And our home value, we know, is, since we bought it, is doubled.
Yeah.
We live out kind of in the country. We have a view. We have a great property. So we want to refinance and get a little cash out so we can finish up the project and pay off some of the credit card debt we have.
Yeah.
As far as appraisals go, how does that work when we have, so most of the construction's finished, like there's no exposed walls or anything. We have all the drywall up, but we don't have, like, the trim isn't finished, and the new deck we have doesn't have railing on it yet. So I'm wondering, what all do we have to have finished before, because we want to do cash out, there'll probably be an appraisal, right?
Yes, 100%. There will be an appraisal. You're going to need all of your health and safety things because the appraiser is going to come in. He's going to make you put up the handrails. He's going to make sure that you have a heat source. He's going to make sure that you have floors. The house is going to need to be in livable condition for you to refi. If it's not and you can't get it there, then you're going to need to look at a private lender. So no bank is going to finance that. You're going to have to go with a hard money loan or some sort of a private lender to get that financed.
I remember we were doing our refi, and again, our process took longer because of all the things, and I posted a picture on Instagram of our floors totally ripped up because we were putting in wood floors, and you sent me a message like, what are you doing? You can't be remodeling when we're trying to refine. I'm like, no, it'll be done to be long before the inspection. But people don't think about that stuff.
Yeah, totally. totally.
So good for her to ask.
Yeah.
Pedro said, is there any hope for first-time home buyers, or is patiently waiting the only thing we can do?
No, there's definitely hope. You got to align yourself with a good real estate agent that has local connections and a good lender, because it doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer or you've bought multiple homes. I can still close your loan really fast. So that's what's going to make you competitive.
Something we touched on last time you were here, it leads me to this email, is that you also very well in this market might wind up paying less per month for your home than you are renting.
Yeah.
Dang.
But a lot of people are scared, though, about first-time buying. How do I compete with cash buyers from the Bay Area? How much money do I need down? What's the 60-second pep talk for I've never bought a home and this market is so competitive?
Yeah.
Other than what you just said, aligning with you and the right people.
What I would say is there's a lot of value right now in going after homes that have been listed for 30 days or more. Everyone wants to go after the house that just got listed, but if you're a first-time home buyer, you're putting a small down payment down, go after the home that's been on the market for 30 days. Oftentimes you can negotiate an even better deal because that seller is scared and he's wondering, why is my house not selling in the best market of all time? So now you can go in and negotiate yourself an even better deal and hopefully get some equity by just negotiating a great deal on a property that's been sitting there for a little bit.
So one of the things I talk about a lot of times is reminding people that when you're renting, you're paying someone else's mortgage. Because you talk about it a lot from being the landlord, and you're like, hey, what about an investment home?
Yeah.
When you are the renter, you're literally paying for someone else's life. This email breaks my heart. It's from Carmen.
Oh, hi, Carmen.
It says, we bought our first home in 2002. We lost it and our business in the crash in 2009. Ever since then, we have been nervous about buying again. We have been renting the same home in Sacramento for $1,500 a month for 10 years.
Oh.
Do the math. 3 years ago, we looked into buying another home, but it would have cost us double what we were currently paying. That was 3 years ago. So we decided to just increase our investment contributions. Would buying a home be a better investment? It just seems like we are always behind the market as the prices keep going up. And, of course, we're nervous since the crash.
Yeah. And honestly, $1,500 is really not that bad of rent for a house these days. So it's probably hard for her to commit because, her rent's probably going to go up, as if she left that rental and went to a new one. It's probably going to go up too. So I don't know. She might be in a good spot for $1,500, to tell you the truth.
But she's paying someone else's mortgage
I know,
for 10 years.
I
But
know.
you know what? Like the
It's
fear. You guys know the money stuff. I'm got concentrating on the fear part of it because I remember in my 31 is when I first bought a house, because before that I was so afraid. But it's like, what if something happens? And then it's like Rob's like, you're paying someone else. And then one of my friends is like, you're always going to have to pay for somewhere to live,
Yeah.
right? Like, even if you don't own it and something happens, you're always going to have to pay for somewhere to live. And I think with this person, like, you guys you're probably in a much different situation. I bet you can look at it and go, in your different situation than back in the crash. You probably learned certain things and are not doing those same things. And you're in control of your finances. Just make sure you get a mortgage you're comfortable with. You don't have to get what they say you qualify for. You can go, no. I want less.
Yeah.
You tell them your budget.
Hello, Martine.
Hey, so I recently refied my house and was put on a streamline, and I was told my mortgage agent probably shouldn't have done that. I want to refi and do a cash out because I want to pay off credit cards, want to pay off my school loan, so I can get out of debt. But my credit score isn't fantastic, and my mortgage loan officer told me that because of that, I can't really refi currently for a cash out.
Yeah, that's why I'm assuming that you're in an FHA loan. You did an FHA streamline. So what the key would be, and really what you want to go over with your mortgage advisor is, how do I get my credit score to a position to where I can refi? And, with FHA, when you just did that streamline, you actually had to pay FHA mortgage insurance, which totally stinks. I wouldn't have recommended that. I would have recommended, here is what we need to do to get your score in the position to go into a conventional loan. Then you could take the cash out, and then we would have been working towards that goal. So maybe it might not have been able to refinance now, but maybe in the next 3 months or so, you get your score in a spot where you can.
And you guys have like a formula
do.
or a system that you use where you'll email and say, look, this one credit card, you got to pay this exact amount on it, and you're going to go from 740 to 780 or 690 to 710, and that's going to be what we need to get you there.
Exactly. Yep. And then we'll tell you exactly what to do. We could do a rapid rescore. It only takes 3 to 5 days. We'll get your new score, and then you can move forward.
We're talking to Shelby Elias from FinanceWithShelby.com, United Home Wholesale lending. Sorry. Kelly wrote in some quick hit questions here. Your opinion on refinancing with the cash out versus a home equity line of credit?
Yes.
They want to do home improvements. What's the difference and why?
Cash out refi is for long-term debt. A HELOC is used for short-term debt. So think of a HELOC as a credit card. You want to use it the same way. You have a lower interest rate on a HELOC than on a credit card. So if you're going to buy something and pay it back off, then that's a great move for a HELOC. If it's long-term debt, like a swimming pool or, a kitchen remodel, and you're not going to pay it off right away, then you want to do a cash-out refinance.
What about my bank account is overdrafted for the last 3 months? Will that affect my refi?
Don't show the bank that account.
We got this from Jason. Says, I'm working with you right now for refinancing, and after I started the process, a lot of other home loan companies started calling me. That'll happen.
Yeah.
And they did not understand how you could get rid of my mortgage insurance with just 5% equity. How are you able to, even though I bought my house less than a year ago?
So there is what's called lender-paid mortgage insurance, and if you have really good credit, then the mortgage insurance can be taken off only with 5% equity. But the way that happens is you're taking a slightly higher interest rate for them to waive your mortgage insurance. But rates are so low right now, and my rates are so much better than everyone else's, that it seems like, you're getting a prime rate because my rates are so good. So that's how you can do it.
Nikki says, I'm a teacher. I've never owned a home. I looked into buying a home 3 years ago and was told my student loans will prevent me from being able to buy. Even being a new home buyer, the loan officer I spoke to basically said, I cannot get a house until I pay off my student loans. Is this true?
I'd have to look at your exact situation.
Is that a debt-to-income
definitely,
concern?
Yeah, there is a debt-to-income ratio concern there.
Which, to explain that simply, it's literally what it sounds like. How much income do you get versus how much debt you owe on? And there's a point at which they're not comfortable adding more debt.
Yep, and the reason why people that have student loans is because they're not actually paying on them. So they're thinking, what do you mean that's not debt? Well, it still is. We have to assume that this is your monthly payment on the debt, even though you're not paying it, and it gets hit against you.
Christy says, can you be considered a first-time home buyer if you did previously own 2 different homes with your husband, but now are single and want to buy on my own?
It depends how long you've been off of those previous mortgages.
This one's from Shannon. Does Shelby do construction loans? I'm looking to do a barn dominium.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah. I could do a cash out refinance to pull the cash out to do it, but I don't do construction loans. You got to go to somewhere like Umpqua Bank.
But why not just do a cash out and build out? That does make more sense.
If you have the equity, then yeah, that definitely makes more sense.
Hello, Nicole.
Hi, I'm in my early 30s, and we bought a house just over a year ago and just did the cash out refi. And now we're in this position where we're going to pay off 100% of our debt at this point, and we're still fairly young, got 2 little kids, and we're in our forever home. However, earlier you talked about slush fund versus equity in the home, and we're going to have about $10,000 left. So do we add it to our slush fund, or do we add it to the equity, even though it's our forever home?
You keep the money in your account into the slush fund because you're paying such a low interest on that money that there's no use paying your mortgage back down and giving that up, because you can earn more by, keeping or investing those funds. You're never going to be able to access money that cheap ever again.
Hello there, Steve.
Yeah, hi. I had a question. If I have a manufactured home that's paid for, but I don't own the property, does that make it an issue to take equity out of that house?
Yes, you have to own the land, or else the lenders will not give you financing.
So here's a question that I have to believe is pretty common, especially for first-time buyers, and I don't know what the answer might possibly be, so good luck with this one. What's the minimum salary you need to afford a house in the greater Sacramento area? I only make $35,000 gross a year, and I feel like I'll be renting the rest of my life. My credit is also subpar, around 620. I mean, is there really? I mean, is there a number you can say, like, got to make this much?
You can't really, because you don't know how much debt is associated. But I would say that you can look into buying a house if you make over 55 to 75,000. That's probably a good range.
Chris says, I owe about $20,000 on my home solar. Should I pay that off and do it with a refi before selling my house, or should I just sign over the contract to the next buyer and they can continue to pay off the solar instead?
It might be harder to sell your house with somebody having to take over the solar. It depends on how good your terms are and how much that solar actually saves you.
Back to the home improvement question. What about, we mentioned kitchens. You said, 60 to 80% value increase?
Yeah, return on investment.
Dude says, what about bathrooms? Fully remodeled and or making a half bath into a full bath?
It depends. If you only have one bathroom now and you add another bathroom, that's going to be huge. Yeah. So I don't necessarily know if a bathroom's better than a kitchen. If the bathroom's the only thing left and you're going to sell your house in the future, then I'm sure it'll make a lot of sense.
We got this email from Chris. It says, wow, Shelby is clearly popular. The phone lines are busy and we aren't even playing a game to win something. I have a rental house with great renters, but I know their electrical bill is very high. I could save them some money and still charge a bit more on the rent, split the difference in their electric bill savings. Do you have much experience with people cashing out refi to put solar panels on a rental property? I wowould love to take advantage of the tax credits.
Well, I think that's a great idea with tax credits. When I put solar on my house, it saved me a lot of money in just the taxes. So I think that could be a good avenue.
And we got this note from Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Says, I just wanted to say thanks, Rob, for getting Shelby and his team out there for us maggots. I'm in the middle of a cash-out refinance with them, and they have been amazing. Aww. Shelby was more than willing to work around my schedule to take the initial phone call with me and gave me the lowest rate of anyone I spoke to about it. Tim helped me get through the initial process faster than the bank I went through last time. Caitlin sent a video via email explaining everything that was being set up on my estimate. I'm currently working with Justin. Well, I work with Justin, too. To clear up some things with my employer. Yeah, me, too. My employer is such a jerk. I had to yell at myself over and over again. The whole team has been readily available and quick to respond. Working with the United Wholesale team has been worlds better than any bank I've ever worked with. Thank you, Shelby and team, and thanks, Rob, for bringing them in.
I love it.
What a great way to end.
That's amazing.
And because you're so popular, we're going to have you back like monthly.
Cool.
Every month we're going to have Shelby on through the end of the year, including we're going to do a long form probcast with him, but we'll have him back on the show because that emailer's right. The phones are nuts. The emails are coming in.
Love it.
It's something everybody's thinking about. They've got questions, and you're fantastic at it. So we really appreciate you being here.
And all of your listeners are amazing. I love taking all their calls and talking with everybody. It's truly a blessing.
How come the amazing ones are calling him and not us?
Oh, stop it.
They only call when you're here. Other times we get... find him at financewithshelby.com.